There is a story living inside you that you did not write. It came from people who lived long before you, and it influences the way you think, feel, and react. This story is made of the pain, fear, and stress that humanity has gone through. Wars, disasters, oppression, loss. These wounds did not disappear when the events ended. They continued through families, communities, and entire societies. You carry a part of them, even if you don't know it. Humans pass down more than genes. We also pass down emotional habits, fears, and ways of surviving. When a group of people suffers a tragedy together, they learn behaviors that help them stay alive. Those behaviors, even when the danger is gone, get handed to the next generation. So sometimes you might react to life with old patterns that do not belong to your personal story. They belong to the past. Imagine this. Your ancestors lived through hunger or war. They had to stay alert, plan for danger, and hide their emotions. They did these things because their survival depended on them. Over time, those behaviors became part of the family's normal way of living. Children grew up watching adults who were tense, cautious, or afraid. Even if the children never faced the original danger, they learned to feel the same. This is collective trauma. It is not a single wound. It is a shared emotional memory that moves through time. You may see it in small ways. Some families save everything because they fear losing it. Others have trouble trusting authority because their history taught them that power is dangerous. Some communities stay quiet about their problems because speaking up once led to punishment. These behaviors look personal on the surface, but their roots come from events that shaped entire groups. In many households, people grow up surrounded by stress that no one explains. A child might notice that a parent always feels nervous about money, safety, or stability. Even if the parent never talks about their past, the tension still fills the home. The child absorbs it without knowing the source. They develop emotions that seem to appear from nowhere: fear, pressure, or sadness that does not match their own life. Collective trauma also shows up in the beliefs a society holds. After serious suffering, communities develop strong ideas about what is safe and what is not. They may avoid taking risks. They may value control, toughness, or silence. These ideas can pass through generations without anyone questioning them. They become part of the normal rules people grow up with. Sometimes the trauma is passed through silence. Families or cultures avoid talking about painful events because the memories are too heavy. This silence becomes its own kind of teaching. It tells children that certain topics are dangerous or shameful. They feel the weight without hearing the story. This creates confusion because the emotions are real, but the story behind them is missing. Culture also carries trauma through art, music, traditions, and stories. You can hear it in certain songs filled with sadness. You can see it in rituals created to deal with loss. Even jokes or sayings passed down for generations can hold hints of old pain. These cultural messages shape how you see the world without you realizing it. You might notice that certain emotions feel bigger than they should. A small argument feels like a major threat. A moment of loss hits harder than expected. A simple mistake feels like a disaster. These reactions might not be coming only from your own life. They may be connecting to emotional patterns that started long before you were born. The goal of understanding collective trauma is not to blame anyone. It is to see the bigger picture of your emotional life. When you recognize that some of your reactions come from history, not from personal failure, you can begin to show yourself compassion. You can understand why you feel the way you do and why certain patterns follow you even when you try to change them. Seeing the hidden storyteller inside you is the first step. You start to notice the habits you learned without choosing them. You begin to understand where your fears come from. You may realize that your instincts were shaped by events you never experienced. And once you see this clearly, you gain the ability to change the path forward. Collective trauma may influence your beginning, but it does not have to control your future. When you uncover the story you inherited, you also discover your power to write a new chapter, one that is truly your own.
If collective trauma can shape your reactions without your permission, then healing begins when you start to notice those patterns. You cannot change what you don't see. The first step is learning to recognize when you're responding from your own life and when you might be reacting from a wound passed down through generations. Many people feel emotions that do not seem to match their current situation. You might feel sudden fear when nothing is threatening you. You might panic when someone raises their voice, even if they are not angry. You might feel heavy sadness that comes from nowhere. When this happens, it doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It can simply mean you are carrying emotional weight that started before your time. Being aware of this creates room for healing. Instead of thinking, "What's wrong with me?" you can ask, "Where might this feeling come from?" That small shift opens the door to understanding. Another step in healing is looking at the beliefs you grew up with. Some beliefs were formed by past suffering, not by your own experiences. For example, you must always be strong. Asking for help is dangerous. People cannot be trusted. You should never take risks. Talking about feelings leads to trouble. These beliefs may have protected your ancestors in difficult times, but they might hold you back today. When you question where these ideas came from, you give yourself permission to create your own values. You can decide which beliefs still help you and which ones keep you stuck. Healing also means giving yourself permission to talk about what hurts. Many families avoid speaking about the painful parts of their history. They stay silent to protect themselves, or because the memories are too heavy. But silence often creates confusion. People feel emotions they don't understand, and the lack of explanation makes the feelings more intense. When you bring pain into the open, either by talking to someone you trust, writing about your feelings, or even saying the truth to yourself, you begin to break the cycle. Naming something takes away its power. It helps you understand what you're dealing with, instead of being controlled by something hidden. Another important part of healing is connection. Trauma often makes people feel alone, even when others around them share similar experiences. When you talk with people who understand your background, your family history, or your cultural struggles, you realize that your feelings are not strange, they are human. Sharing pain turns isolation into support. Communities around the world have used group healing for centuries. Storytelling circles, prayer groups, cultural songs, and community gatherings all helped people release emotional weight together. These traditions remind us that healing doesn't have to happen alone. Even today, having conversations, joining support groups, or connecting with your culture can help you feel less burdened. Another powerful tool is learning how to calm your own body. Collective trauma often creates patterns like always feeling on edge, expecting something bad to happen, shutting down emotionally, struggling to relax even in safe places. These reactions are not personality flaws, they are survival responses passed down over time. When you learn skills that help your body feel safe, you start to weaken these old patterns. Breathing deeply, grounding exercises, gentle movement, or spending time in nature can show your body that the danger from the past is no longer present. As your body relaxes, your mind becomes clearer. You begin to tell the difference between real threats and old fears. This is a major part of healing the inherited story. Another important step is changing the narrative you live by. Trauma often creates stories that limit your life. You might think you have to stay small, avoid change, or control everything. But when you look deeper, you can find another part of your heritage, the strength your ancestors used to survive. You come from people who endured, adapted, and continued living despite enormous challenges. Their strength is just as real as their pain. Healing means remembering that you are not only shaped by trauma, you are also shaped by resilience. When you start seeing yourself through this broader lens, new possibilities appear. You can make choices your ancestors never had the chance to make. You can follow dreams they could not follow. You can speak openly when they had to stay silent. Every time you break an old pattern, you make the path easier for the next generation. This is one of the most powerful truths about healing. It does not end with you. When you learn healthier emotional habits, children in your family may grow up with less fear. When you face your feelings instead of hiding them, the people around you learn that emotions are not dangerous. When you create stability in your life, you build a new foundation for those who come after you. By healing the past inside yourself, you change the future for others. In the end, collective trauma may influence the beginning of your story, but you have the power to shape the direction it goes next. You can notice the patterns instead of being ruled by them. You can question beliefs that no longer serve you. You can connect with others instead of carrying everything alone. You can calm your body and teach it that the world has changed. And you can honor your ancestors not only by remembering their pain, but by continuing their journey toward healing. You are not trapped by the story you inherited. You are the author of the chapter you are living now. And by turning pain into understanding, and understanding into action, you create a future that is lighter, clearer, and truly your own.